Tonight, the business of being Black is Black protest versus white insurrection. And who else to discuss the business of being Black in America other than the author of Speak Brother, A Black Man's View of America, Listen to the Spirit Within, 50 Perspectives on Faith, and the first, President Barack Obama's Road to the White House, as originally reported by Roland S. Martin. He is also creator and host of the digital show, Roland Martin Unfiltered. Please welcome my Houston homeboy and fellow Jack Yates High alumni, host of Roland Martin Unfiltered, Roland Martin. Hi, Roland.
Hey, what's going on, Tammi Mac? How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. I'm doing absolutely wonderful. I know you're in DC now, and a lot is going on there, or should I say a lot is not going on in DC?
Well, I wish I had known you were going to talk about the birth of a nation. I've got about 3 or 4 books around here. William Monroe Trotter is a famous Black journalist who actually led that effort with the Black newspaper there in Boston that really turned into a national phenomenon. And so it's very interesting with how you laid that out, because really what we are dealing with is something that I called in 2009. I call this white minority resistance. And what that speaks to is that we are moving towards a nation that's becoming more majority people of color. And I said then, white folks are not going to be able to handle this. The reality is you're now seeing really for the first time how they are responding to Black power, to Latino power, to the fact that whiteness does not define America, does not control America. And that's what you're seeing. I think you're going to see a lot more of this, folks not being happy because they can't handle not being in control. They can't handle they can't handle sharing power, sharing resources. And so we're not going to see the last of it. This is not the last time we're going to see this happen in America.
What do you think the Black community's reaction is to the chaos at the Capitol that happened last week?
Black folks are like, ooh, white folks whiting. I mean, look, we have experienced.
We're sipping our tea, where we like,
Right now, we have experienced this. This ain't new to us. Okay, white folks acting out because they don't get their way. Wow, that's not novel to us. And so, if you anybody who wants to understand, you got to remember, most white people in America have no concept of history. So they know nothing about the insurrections that took place after the Civil War. They know nothing about what took place during Jim Crow. You got to remember when Louis Martin was sent to Detroit to run the Michigan Chronicle by John Sinstack, they covered a major race riot when the white folks at the Ford plant revolted because they were hiring Black people. Chicago, the west side of Chicago, sent one Black family move into public housing. 3,000 white folks showed up throwing rocks, leading to a major melee, and yes, attacking police officers. And so we have the history on our side of white folks losing their minds when they sense their power is being interrupted. And that's what you're seeing. And so Black folks are saying, hashtag, we tried to tell you.
Is their power being interrupted? Is that really happening?
Yes, here's the deal.
White power.
Oh, yes, here's the deal. There was I'm actually working on a book right now that will come out next year, and it's called White Fear. Mm-hmm. There was a poll that was taken shortly before Obama was inaugurated. And the poll was done by Pew. And this was the question asked: are you optimistic about the future of America for your children? Every ethnic group, Black people, Latinos, Asian, Native Americans, everybody, majority said yes. One group, white folks, was under majority. September 2016, the poll was taken. The question was asked: are you optimistic about the future of America economically for the next 10 years? Black people, lowest wealth, highest optimism. Latinos, second lowest wealth, highest optimism. White people, highest wealth, lowest optimism. So you got to ask the question, wait a minute, how y'all got more money than everybody else, but y'all are not as optimistic about the future economically for the next 10 years? It's because they haven't raised their children to compete. They are now operating in a society where whiteness does not get you what it used to get you. They now have to compete. They're now going up against black women who are more educated. They're now going up against black folks who are voting. They're now going up against Latinos. And so it's this struggle like, oh my goodness, what we've always run this, especially white men, now we have to share. And there's going to be a massive struggle between now and 2043 when America becomes a nation majority of people of color. And so the question then is, how do they battle this? That is what's driving this. All the media, oh, it's the economic anxiety. No, that did not fuel Donald Trump. White fear fueled Trump.
So we talk about this white fear, and you're talking about how they believe they're going to lose their power. So let's talk about the state of Georgia in particularly, where the Secretary of State is now trying to create laws that will stop Black folk from voting because, look, let's face it, that Senate election was held by Black folk, and the presidential election completely flipped Georgia to a blue state. Many people say that Georgia has always been a blue state. They've just suppressed the votes for so long that Black folk couldn't vote.
No, it was red. It was red. Georgia was red. So here's what we have to recognize. What has changed? First of all, what you have seen is a dramatic shift in employment away from the Northeast and from the West Coast.
Absolutely.
And so, for instance, Georgia is now a significant Hollywood place. Tyler Perry has his studio there, 250 acres. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry in Georgia. Well, guess what? If you're getting people from California who are now doing movies in Georgia, those people, they're bringing their political ideology with them. Same thing, you see it in Texas. You've had the last 20 years, Texas governors who've been recruiting companies from Southern California and from New York City and from other parts of the country. Well, guess what? When they started moving their headquarters, their people and their ideology comes as well. So Georgia's suburbs have changed. You also have seen, yes, increasing African Americans. You've seen a doubling of the Hispanic population from 7 to 14%. So all of a sudden, the white power structure has been shrinking in Georgia. Now what Stacey Abrams did while going out and registering 18,000 people, it used to be 22% of all Georgians were not registered to vote in the state. That's now 2% because they also have automatic voter registration. And so now what you have seen is a concerted effort by boots on the ground to get Black folks to vote. Now the manifestation is that Biden-Harris wins. You combine significant Black turnout, Latino turnout, it's 150,000 Native Americans in Georgia as well. Combine that with suburbs, progressive, moderate, white liberals. Now all of a sudden, you now have fusion politics, which what we saw in North Carolina in the late 1800s, where whites and Blacks began to work together to achieve power. That's what happened. White folks who are Republicans are like, oh, hell no, we can't have this. So we now have to look at those legal barriers. Now that Shelby V. Holder has been completely gutted of Supreme Court Section 4, now you don't have the federal government having oversight, which is why the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is so important. By Ossoff and Warnock winning, you now can be able to pass federal legislation that can now govern so you can somehow fight what the legislatures are now doing. But they see what's going on. The Republican Speaker of the House said point blank, if we allow mail-in balloting and we allow no excuse absentee balloting, Republicans will never win in this state. They know they can only win through.
And in North Carolina, you're right. The Republicans and Democrats got together, and then all of a sudden there were Black folks who were in Congress, and the Wilmington coup happened in the 1800s, which was an insurrection.
Yes.
Overturned the government completely. So this is not new to America by any means necessary. We're going to take a quick break and come right back on the Tammi Mack Late Show on Fox Soul. Don't you go nowhere. Get in our chat room, y'all.